as of August 1st, those of us who are on the SAVE student loan repayment plan, which is the one that Biden enacted that essentially, have a stipulation that if you do not pay all of your interest and you're not even paying into your principal, that any part of the interest that you didn't pay will not balloon. Because what's happening for a lot of people in the student loan business of paying back their loans is that they just are in snowballing loans over, decades. And so this is something that's being taken away. People in the SAVE program are being essentially forced to stay in limbo, but the interest is returning. So the snowball's returning without a means to essentially go back into active repayment right now, which is really kind of it's a quagmire. Here's another one. A new research revealing that emotional control deficits, there are emotional control deficits in generalized anxiety disorder. So what this means is that people who are diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder, they are showing in this research that there is a decreased ability to regulate one's affect, which makes a lot of sense because this is sort of what's at the core of having kind of this kind of permanent kind of negativistic thinking and physiological kinds of changes that go along with having those types of thoughts in one's body over time. And so what I find to be quite hopeful about this study is that it, in my opinion, shows that this is something that, we have all sorts of skills and techniques we can do to regulate our affect and learn how to become more emotionally intelligent, more in touch with our emotions, and thus be able to sort of ride out those negativistic thoughts when we're in the midst of, dysphoria as it comes to our emotions. And so to me, that's a sign of some level of hope. Most recently, psilocybin, there's a new study that it was a study on mice, and they're showing potential in slowing human cell aging and increased lifespan. And so this is, to me, this was the thing that got psychedelics back into my radar again. I've been obsessed with this. I even run a social media website that I built, and it's got some international reach at this point. And we're all about, we're just professionals who are getting into psychedelics and people who want to learn more about it, and some people who've been kind of involved in it in a very long time. And so this study is actually something that's kind of re-enlivening. I would say my desire to just connect with some people and see what they're making of this. We finally, where do we land at? Oh yeah, okay, here we go. And then Stanford has a recent study that showed all sorts of risks with chatbots doing therapy. Apparently these chatbots are giving really bad advice. They also do not catch when people have suicidal ideation, so they're missing the markers for that. This is something that, in order to get licensed in psychology, you've got to get trained and all this kind of stuff. And then also they have biases towards and against certain diagnoses, and so they tend to say things that are quite stigmatizing to people with schizophrenia and some other disorders and other issues related to psychosis. And I found that really interesting. So are any of these headlines interesting at all to you, Steve? Any of these news stories?
We can't hear you, Uncle Steve. I saw you come off mute.
Can you hear me now or no?
Yes.
Thank you, Cora. Yes, they're all interesting to me.
Well, maybe I'll just land there. This will be kind of like a little a teaser, and if anyone wants to talk about them anymore, I'm happy to chime in. And good morning, everyone, and happy to hang.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. James. And speaking of Cora, let's say hello to Cora. Thank you for doing the heavy lifting. Good morning.
Good morning.
Is there anything you'd like to talk about now, or did you want to wait a bit?
I'll wait a bit. I'll see what other folks have to say. But Dr. James, a lot of that was very interesting to me.
Let's go back up to the top. If anybody in the audience wants to come up, please come up and talk about whatever you want. I have seen some raised hands. I've invited some people up, but they haven't shown on stage. Hopefully, it's not a technological issue. Let's go back to Alfonso. Alfonso, good morning. Is there anything you'd like to talk about?
I'm good for the time being. Thank you.
All right, let's try Lynn. Lynn, is there anything you'd like to talk about?
No, but I as well am interested in a couple of Dr. James's suggestions, so that could be cool.
Did you want to talk about one of them now, or did you want to wait?
No, I'll just wait and see where it goes.
All
Thanks.
right, absolutely. Our birthday girl, Violet. And Violet, I just got a text. I haven't looked at it yet, but I will look at it before the top of the hour. Violet, would you like to contribute at this time?
It's the same research.
Yeah, I was interested in what Dr. James said about the AI therapy, because before I found Clubhouse and I was just looking to talk to anyone at all, basically, I had a lot of conversations with ChatGPT. I didn't treat it like a therapist, and I realized that whatever advice it gave me, wouldn't necessarily apply to me, but it was therapeutic to me in the sense of bouncing ideas off myself, at least. And so it's interesting that because it seemed helpful about 10 months ago, maybe, when I was doing it, a year ago, just to talk with it. So I am interested if they're going to be able to correct that, because it could be helpful for therapeutic. If they program it right, it seems like it could be.
Dr. James, did you want to respond to that now?
So
sorry, I'm walking my dog, so I'm kind of juggling, and I was also getting into the actual original research just now since you mentioned that. Well, just quickly, and I will have more to say in a little bit. I just want to get into exactly what they're purporting to say, because it could be that the headline misconstrues maybe some of the minutia, but essentially what I understood when I read the article about the research, which is not the best way to digest research, was that they're saying that it misses markers for suicidal intent. And so, one of the main markers for someone being willing to take action on suicidal ideation is that they have intent, they have means, they have a plan, but intent is the one that, we're really, really, really looking at, because without intent, oftentimes people, I know everybody's had some amount of depression or sadness in their life at one point or another, grief. And so I don't mean to sound like I'm doing the mansplain thing when I say it in this way, but I'm just trying to quickly say that when people have intent and we're doing suicide risk assessments, and someone says, look, I have a plan to X, and I've been thinking about this for a while, that's concerning. But when they have intent, that means they're likely ready to activate and actually go through with it. And many times there are people who also have suicidal ideation, and it's considered therapeutically beneficial to sit with that and work it out, figure it out, and plan around how to deal with it, rather than just avoiding it. And so I think that one of the things it was saying was that these bots are not picking up on that nuance, and it may be that the type of AI that they're using is something that's less robust. Like maybe if you were using the most powerful proprietary AI model, it may have better ability to pick up on some of those markers that are kind of not latent but implicit in the language, versus maybe a lower power model might not have the nuanced ability. So that's what I was trying to dig into, is to figure out what exactly are we talking about. I don't know if that's helpful.
Did you want to respond, Violet?
Yeah, I wanted to say I didn't think that was mansplaining. I don't think I've ever heard you mansplain, Dr. James, personally, anyway. And I see what you're saying. I do think that, like my experience with it, I wasn't treating it like an authority on what I should do with my mental health. So if you're approaching it as an authority as to what to do about your mental health, and it's giving you misinformation or not directing you in the right way, I can definitely see how that would be dangerous. And I'll land there.
Reverend Scott, when he first came on the show this morning, said that he saw Good Will Hunting. For those of you that have never seen it, it was written by Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. Matt Damon plays a mathematical genius who's basically a high school dropout, has spent many years in the criminal justice system, and he solves a problem. He solves mathematical problems at Harvard for fun. And he's taken to a therapist. And during the first visit with this therapist, as with the prior therapist, basically, he rips them a new one. This therapist is played by Robin Williams. And when he goes to see Robin Williams for the second time, Robin Williams says, "Come with me." And this is their second session.
Yeah, I think for swans is it's like a fetish. It's something like maybe we need to devote some time to.
I thought about what you said to me the other day about my painting. I stayed up half the night thinking about it. Something occurred to me. I fell into a deep, peaceful sleep, and I haven't thought about you since. Do you know what occurred to me? You're just a kid. You don't have the faintest idea what you're talking about.
Oh, thank you.
It's all right. You've never been out of Boston.
Nope.
If I asked you about art, you'd probably give me the skinny on every art book ever written. Michelangelo. I know a lot about him. Life's work, political aspirations, even the Pope, sexual orientation, the whole works, right? But you can't tell me what it smells like in the Sistine Chapel. You never actually stood there and looked up at that beautiful ceiling. Seen that. If I ask you about women, you'd probably give me a silver set of your personal favorites. You may have even been laid a few times. But you can't tell me what it feels like to wake up next to a woman and feel truly happy. You're a tough kid. You're asking about war. You'd probably throw Shakespeare at me, right? Once more into the breach, dear friends. But you've never been near one. You've never held your best friend's head in your lap and watched him gasp his last breath looking to you for help. I ask about love. Probably quote me a sonnet. But you've never looked at a woman and been totally vulnerable. Been someone that could level you with her eyes. Feeling like God put an angel on earth just for you. Who could rescue you from the depths of hell. And you wouldn't know what it's like to be her angel. To have that love for her, be there forever. Through anything. Through cancer. And you would know about sitting up in a hospital room for 2 months, holding her hand, because the doctors could see in your eyes that the terms visiting hours don't apply to you. You don't know about real loss, because it only occurs when you love something more than you love yourself. I doubt you've ever dared to love anybody that much. I look at you, I don't see. I see a cocky, scared, shitless kid. But you're a genius, Will. No one denies it. No one could possibly understand the depths of you. But you presume to know everything about me because you saw a painting in mine. You ripped my fucking life apart. You're an orphan, right? I think I know the first thing about how hard your life has been, how you feel, who you are, because I read all of the twist. Does that encapsulate you? Personally, I don't give a shit about all that, because you know what? I can't learn anything from you. I can't read in some fucking book. Unless you want to talk about you, who you are, then I'm fascinated. I'm in. But you don't want to do that, do you, Squad? I'm terrified of what you might say. You move, Jeff.
Dr. James, I have a question for you.
And I have a comment about that clip, so I'll answer your question first, and then I'll comment.
It's actually about the movie and the clip. Did you see Good Will Hunting? And or what did you think of Robin Williams' character and or the clip take as much time as you want thing?
I have seen it. It's been a very long time. That scene is very, very moving, and it immediately triggered a couple of thoughts about my own experiences and also about the article on Violet's particular question. And so what I'm going to do right now is, as concisely, or let's just say as efficiently as possible, I'm going to try to answer those two questions or those two comments, and then I'm going to relinquish the mic. And I'm going to put in my best effort. So hecklers, just know this is not for lack of trying. So the movie itself I thought was beautiful, obviously, and that scene is moving, and I'll tell you, I mean, extremely moving to me. Like, I'm almost on the verge of, verklempt, Mike Myers' character, Billy verklempt. I'm feeling a little verklempt right now because, think about it, how did Robin Williams die? It's like, the irony and poetic sort of beauty of listening to that from the tragic way he ended his own life, to me is it's just really profound. But so regarding this particular theme, one of the things that came to mind regarding Violet's question was they also talked about this thing called therapeutic alliance, which happens to be a well-researched construct. This is one of the evidences for, and I think why, psychodynamic therapy, which is a grandchild of, Freud's original psychoanalysis, but it's been, changed quite a bit through the years. But essentially, this is one of the things that psychodynamic therapy is, and therapists that practice it are said to really excel at, and this type of therapy they look at often is the therapeutic alliance, because it's shown that this is something that can actually be predictive of a good therapeutic outcome over time. And so what I was thinking was, you've got Robin Williams, right, with his client, his patient, and he said, I've been thinking about you, right? And an AI can't really think about you. An AI doesn't go to bed at night and have dreams, and you know about their imagination and intertwine with the loves they felt and the thoughts they have, and then you come back and maybe you've both been doing the same thing, and there's a relationship. I mean, there is something to this idea of two humans having a relationship versus a human projecting feelings onto a non-human, which is fine because we do that, but it's not exactly the same thing. So that was one thing. I'm thinking, Betty, what it did show was that therapeutic alliance is impacted negatively, is one thing I believe that the article says. And then the other thing, I wanted to say, here we go. So the other thing I really liked about this scene, where Robin Williams was basically having him evoke his senses and giving him kind of like a version of what's called the miracle question in solution-focused therapy, which is where you say, imagine a time where everything is different. Looking back, what would you have thought about this moment? Or imagine a time, if you could have anything in the world, and the whole possibility was your oyster, what might it be right now? And how would you get there? You know, you kind of evoke the imagination. And I think evoking the senses is a version of that where, like, you know, it was a way of showing him maybe he does have something to live for without sort of beating him over the head with it. It was a way of not avoiding the potentially lethal depression that he was in as a character in this movie, and that people are in every single fucking day. These people are people that I've sat with at, you know, inpatient, locked unit, psychiatric facilities, on open units, in community mental health, in hospital settings, in my personal life. Everyone I know at one point has felt depressed. And the last thing we need when we're depressed is for people to give us what we want to some degree, which is probably to just let us rot by ourselves and just be done with it. At the same time, what we all need is to be respected in our sadness and to not be stigmatized because we have thoughts like this. And I'm going to land here with this. I mean, who of you who's ever felt suicidal feels more proud that you came through it than ashamed that you had the thought? I'll end.
And with that, we are at the bottom of the hour. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Ask the Atheist with the Mod Squad. Hopefully you can tell by now I have assembled the best Mod Squad in the history of Clubhouse. They have a wide variety of fields of expertise and knowledge. Unlike other Clubhouse rooms, we put a priority on the new speakers. We encourage you to be bold, brave, courageous. Come on up and you can talk about anything you want. You can talk about you, me, the Mod Squad, God, religion, current events, politics, whatever strikes your fancy. Just have a take and don't suck. We're going to continue with the show. Let's see. Let's go to Reverend Scott. Would you like to contribute at this time? Reverend Scott.
Uncle Steve, hey, how are you?
Yes. Hi.
I do want to say that...
You saw the movie last night. I don't know if it was your first time, but you saw the movie.
Yeah, I've seen that movie many times.
I've seen it many times also.
But my friend who I was with had never seen it, which is wild, right? So I think it's very interesting to watch a film with someone that you love and you know is great, someone who hasn't seen it, because, you know, you get to experience the thing, you know, through their eyes a little bit. So it reminds you about some of the things, you know, you love and what, you know, what you liked and what drew you to the movie first. I do think one of the things that's, well, two things I think. One thing I'll just say that I think is kind of interesting. I was thinking about your opening comments on William Jennings Bryan, someone who I think was a fascinating
trial, which was 100 years and 2 days ago. Yes.
Amazing. And someone who I think is a fascinating public figure and represents something that I don't think you see very often today. He's someone who is a man of the left. He was certainly a man of the left of his day, right? He was anti-war. He was an economic populist who, you know, his famous address, I think it was Democratic National Convention Independence. It was called the Cross of Gold, which was the decrying of capitalist greed and imperialism that he saw sort of destroying and oppressing working class people. And at the same time, he was someone who was an opponent of philosophical naturalism. Right? He thought that a kind of materialist, Darwinist approach to the explanation for human origins and for, you know, what's really real about life was insufficient. Now, you can agree or disagree with his politics or his religious and metaphysical commitments. But what's interesting is his ability to synthesize something that's generally not synthesized today, right? If you are an opponent of philosophical naturalism and, you know, critical of that in dialogue and with those folks, you're generally on the right? You just don't see people that are progressives who are They also are advocates of religious faith, defense, and are sort of defenders of it in face of challenges like new atheism or something. And likewise, you don't see many people who are on the right who are critics of religion. It happens, again, there are exceptions to these patterns of wanting out. But generally, the people on the right that are atheists wind up defending religion. I think Greg Gutfeld or Karl Rove famously, right? Karl Rove is a very candid atheist, but you never hear that guy critical of theism, of evangelical Christianity, because it's just the ideological landscape is so silent that it's almost like when you pick your side in the partisan divide or in the cultural conflict, you can't transgress the norms, right? So there's this tremendous pressure to check every box. And what I think is great about you William James Bryan into the conversation is he was someone that defined simple categorization. I wish we had, and you know what, it's great. We have some folks like that here on our very own Mod Squad. We have people like you, Uncle Steve, who are not siloed, for whom any idea is on the table, baby. It entertains any idea, of course, on the best 3 hours of Clubhouse. The XO signing off.
Thank you, XO. Alfonso, would you like to contribute at this time?
I'm getting ready to go to the airport to pick up my brother.
You got it. Thank you. Lynn, would you like to contribute at this time?
Yeah, the whole thing that Dr. James was talking about the suicidal ideology. That one's interesting because what I found is most of the people that I'm talking to that are at that level, they don't talk about it at all before that. And I'm talking about those who have made the attempt and either got caught or actually completed their attempt. There was no talking about it prior to it at all. Back when I was 15, I had an attempt myself. And again, I never talked about it. There wasn't a sign. I came with a plan, but I never spoke about it. What signs could I be looking for, Dr. James, that would help me with those people they've developed a plan, they have the intent, they have a plan in place so they know how to do it, but aren't speaking about it? Is there any telltale signs that we as human beings can see beforehand that when they're not speaking?
What's the context? I mean, where are you when this is happening? It's a very kind of specific question about a very kind of ambiguous, broad. What's the context? Can you give me something in particular?
I do have something to say after Dr. James.
Lynn, could you give Dr. James anything specific, or would you like to hold on to that?
Oh, sorry. I'm talking about in the context of a lot of my CASA girls that are trauma-based.
Is this residential treatment? What's the context? What's the type of care being given? What's the
peer counseling? I guess would be the best one, Dr. James.
Is it in-house, meaning they live there and they're sort of a captive audience, or is this people who come in voluntarily? What's the severity?
Girls are in juvenile hall, yes.
They're in juvenile hall, okay.
Yeah.
And so you're saying the patients that you have in juvenile hall will come in and they're not talking about the fact that they're feeling suicidal.
Right. And then they make the attempt and either they fail the attempt because they're caught, overdose, or they have completed, but there was no signs prior that they let through to me, who they trust immensely and tell a lot of things to. So the fact that they're not sharing that one, I was wondering if there was something that maybe I might be able to look into to do a little better job of catching those before they make the attempt.
Well, I have some thoughts, but I'm feeling very hesitant that they think specifically, because I do not want this to be misconstrued by anyone as sort of the end sort of assessment of the way to do it, because this is a really hairy subject. But essentially, I mean, being able to build like this, even the study said, being able to build therapeutic alliance rapport, building trust to where someone doesn't get to the point where they feel like, they can't speak to you, but building a relationship where perhaps they feel like they can speak to you, I think should not be overlooked as one of the first most obvious things. But in terms of like, breaking down whether someone is going to activate, if you're in a forensic system, then you have access to suicide risk assessments that I would look into in particular and find out what they use at your facility. I would have those on the ready. I would get really familiar with the way they're sort of operationalizing these things and operationalizing risk to protect them, your clients, and to protect yourself. But also because I think it can be really helpful. So for example, if someone comes in and they're telling you about, to what extent, okay, so look, let me just sort of come back to the middle here. Another thing I'm thinking about is impulsivity. I would imagine that many of the clients you have co-occurring diagnoses on record in addition to major depressive disorder. They probably are diagnosed with things like PTSD, complex PTSD, which is a trauma-based PTSD, which they are probably diagnosed, I'm just guessing, with some kind of, we used to call personality disorders, like borderline personality, which usually comes with some impulsivity, some black and white thinking. And so I think there are certain patients that as you get to know them, you will see that they're maybe more high risk as to acting impulsively. And I think there is also a percentage of people who really want to fucking go through with it. And yeah, they're probably not going to talk to you about what's going on. And so you would need a system that supports trying to figure out if they're hoarding their medicine, hoarding anything that they could be used to hurt themselves with. I mean, I just think like there's so many different ways to look at this thing, and especially within the prison system or a forensic setting. I mean, I think you're right in the sense that the chances of someone feeling hopeless and wanting to do something like that and needing it would be markedly higher than maybe in other areas. And so it just seems like this is a real important question that I would not want to be your sort of final answer with, but more I would, offline, if you ever had something that came up in particular, I would, I to whatever extent I could offer some kind of specific feedback without it being considered therapeutic advice. Yeah, maybe I could do that. And then also, I would more recommend you contact, go at your work, you get from this risk assessments and talk to the people within that environment who have a specialty in the forensic population you're working with to actually give you training on this, because anything I'm saying, it could potentially just be off because maybe I'm missing something within the general population of the people you're working with. I don't know if that makes sense. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to talk around this.
That's perfectly okay, and that was Lynn. I do want to go to Violet, see if Violet wants to contribute, and if not, we have Euro.
Steve, can I quickly?
Oh yes, I'm sorry. Let's go to Alfonso. Then if Violet wants to talk, then Euro, then Benjamin.
Yeah, I came across something not long ago. Might have been Robert Sapolsky in his interviews, or some other article. I'm not sure. I can't cite the source, but I found it really valuable. What they said was there are no actual definite telltale signs of someone who's about to take their lives. Many people who do this seem, joyful and happy, and they've come to terms with life. They've actually come to terms with taking their lives. So you would think, oh, he was doing great. He was, happy. And
that's under most.
Sorry?
but also when people can be most at risk because now they can activate.
Exactly. And there's also a medication that is, I think, being questioned and not being, I can't remember the name of it exactly.
It's one of the bipolar meds that lifts people up. I know, not Elavil, I know.
Yeah, so what it does is, it lifts, it elevates people. And so if someone has suicidal ideations, taking this medication gives them the impulse, the motivation to go through with it. And so I think it's important. I know someone who lost her husband to suicide, and it's just next to impossible to actually say, this person will go through with this. So that, this to kind of give us peace in the sense that we're not to blame when someone is going through such a harsh moment and actually decides to take their lives. But yeah, according to this article or something that I can't cite right now, I wish I'd saved it. I might have somewhere. It was probably 3 months ago or so. I'd said that you really cannot.
Thank you. Violet, would you like to contribute at this? Oh, I thought
that was pretty much. You can't really tell for sure that someone will go through with it.
Thank you. Violet, would you like to contribute? Excuse me? I'll see you later, yes. Or you can talk later, yes. Violet, would you like to contribute? Or are you good?
I just wanted to finish by saying that while I found AI helpful for introspection, I felt it wasn't until I found Clubhouse and started meeting friends and making connections with real people that, and also mental health therapy and all that, but Clubhouse, real people, I can definitely understand the importance of real people, and I'm glad to be here with you guys this morning.
Thank you, Happy. And what would you like to talk about? Euro going once, Euro going twice. Yes.
I don't really have much to say. I just want to thank you for this forum they put together. I agree with the people that were saying how great it is, and I'm glad that we have it. But I don't have a particular topic to say, so I'll just say thanks.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for the compliments. Benjamin, you're up. What would you like to talk about?
Oh, I came across a really fun medical paper, tax funded. You paid for this. And I thought I would take the liberty of reading for less than 60 seconds.
You may read anything for less than 60 seconds, yes.
This is science. This is science. You have a scientist, at least one, if not 17. In the experts, this is their expertise. This is science. I'm going to read science. Everybody prepared? Glaciers. This is science about glaciers. Is everybody excited about glaciers? This was first published in January 10, 2016. It was funded. I don't have access to the full article because, of course, even though I paid for it with taxes, it's behind a paywall. But this is about glaciers. This is science about glaciers. So everybody stay in their seats, get interested about glaciers and science. Actually, it's called Glaciers, Gender, and Science, a feminist glaciology framework for global environmental change research. Here's the abstract. Glaciers are key icons of climate change and global environmental change. However, the relationship among gender, science, and glaciers, particularly related to epistemological questions about the productions of glaciological knowledge, remain understudied. This paper thus proposes a feminist glaciology framework with 4 key components. 1. Knowledge producers. 2. Gendered science and knowledge. 3. Systems of scientific domination. 4. Alternative representation of glaciers. Merging feminist post-colonial science studies and feminist political ecology, the feminist glaciological framework generates robust analysis of gender, power, and epistemologies in dynamic sociological systems, thereby leading to more just and equitable science and human-ice interactions. So I don't know the conclusion of this study because I can't read it because it's behind the paywall, even though I paid for it. But if you're wondering when you pay taxes every year what your money is going to, it is going to study gendered glacier research. And that's amazing. And Steve, I was realizing that you don't have a feminist glaciologist in the panel of experts. So there's an open position for an expert on feminine glaciology.
Well, thank you, Benjamin. Thank you, Benjamin. I want to go to Daryl, who's Daryl. Thank you for doing the heavy lifting. Did you want to contribute at this time, Daryl?
Only briefly. In high school, I actually knew 2 people who had attempted suicide, and there was another senior in high school who actually, committed suicide. I don't know if that's the right phrase or not, but what I did learn, because I went to Catholic school and, it's a very close community, so things like that are taken very seriously. But what I did learn is that, to echo what Dr. James had said, that I think the people that go through with it, I don't know that there are a lot of warning signs. It's been said, and Dr. James can, slap my head if I'm wrong, but it's been said that the people who attempt in other ways, it could be considered like a plea for help in some ways. And it's interesting. I'm not making any sense, but that resonated with me because of my senior year.
Steve, can I go next?
Thank you very much, Daryl. Okay, Hero, you can take a couple of minutes.
I was just gonna, if it's okay, I was gonna answer
Which is Hero or Hero?
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you said.
No, who said Steve? Can I go next?
Dave, me.
Dave. Okay, Dave, you can take a couple of minutes, and then was it Euro or Hero that started talking?
Thank you. So,
Dave, hold on. Dave, hold on. Was it Euro or
Yeah.
Euro that started talking?
Yeah, I apologize.
So Dave, you can have a few minutes, and then Euro. Go ahead, Dave.
Okay, good. So about Goodwill Hunting 1997, right? So in 2025, I work on AI. So I can exactly understand what, from the AI perspective, what is Goodwill Hunting 1997, the dialogue between Robin Williams and Mark Dimon, right? So basically, Mark Dimon is like a very good search engine. He has all the knowledge base. He can quote all the things about books that he has read. But Robin Williams criticized him back. But you don't have personal empathy toward what you read because you have not been there. You have never been in love. You never come across a situation where somebody has to commit suicide, and whatever you have read, you can't apply to that person. So in 2025, we are now at the state of AI where people are still have to attempt to how to incorporate those personal information, like what Dr. James said about. It is, and also what I think Violet asked, what kind of information that has to be incorporated into an AI chatbot in order to prevent somebody commit suicide? Why am I talking about this? Because back in 2021, when there was a height of COVID variant, Delta, there was a New York journalist spoke written a lot about grieving. There are a lot of people, close one died, so grieving is a key topic. And that was 2021, but somehow I promised her that I will come up with a solution called AI for grieving. And 2023, I promote the concept of AI for compassion. And it seemed like there's a study in Harvard, because a lot of time people just need to spend time with the doctor, and the doctor have to just talk to them, but doctor don't have so much time, and so people don't get really, help a lot. So if AI could just even take over some of the role of talking to the patient, it would already give some sense of compassion, and based on the survey, people prefer that and give a high score when AI is able to take over some of the role. But the biggest thing is we need not just chatbot for one-to-one patient. We need a whole society to deliver that positive impact. And therefore, that's why I'm working. Even though I talk a lot about religion, but my research is AI for society of compassion. And I believe Judaism, based on what I learned recently, provides some of the input. And I stop here, but basically, if you next time want to talk about AI, I could help to contribute what is feasible, what is not feasible.
Dave, thank you. You're next. Feel free to have a couple minutes, talk about whatever you want.
Okay, well, I'm also very interested in AI and do some research, so I would love to hear whatever Dave wants to contribute later. But to Benjamin's comments about this fascinating glacier study, so I have seen the paper, and the paper is available online, and because he was interested in knowing the conclusions.
You read the conclusions, which Benjamin did not really read.
That's correct.
Tell us what the conclusions said.
Oh, okay, sure. So there's four, I would say, main conclusions. One is that glaciology is socially embedded. Two, that the current glacier knowledge is dominated by masculinist Western paradigms. Three, that incorporating feminist insights can enrich climate science. And four, alternative glacial narratives matter. And there's a short paragraph here I can read. A feminist glaciology framework helps reveal how gender power structures shape glacier knowledge production, and how marginalized voices, especially indigenous and local, can and should be included in scientific discourse. This results in a richer, more just, and socially grounded understanding of environmental change. So that's just a brief summary of the conclusions. If you look at the full paper, the conclusions is, let me see, I think it's like a whole page, but that gives you basically fine. Yeah. But I know he was concerned because he paid for it because he's a taxpayer, so at least in part, and the paper is available online.
Believe me, Benjamin doesn't give a rat's ass about glaciology. What he cares about is that science is bullshit.
Oh, I see. Well, the abstract, is always available, so it's not really fair to say that you don't know the conclusions because it's summed up in the abstract as well. But the authors have made themselves available, and it has extensive references and footnotes and citations for what it's worth.
Thank you.
Uncle Steve, I got a question. If Benjamin is alone, speaking in the woods, and there's no one there to hear it, is he still talking about the same things?
That is a great question to ponder during the break, which is going to be up in 5 minutes. Would anybody on stage who has not spoken in the past half hour or so like to contribute?
I would, if that's okay.
Sure, just say your first. Is it Brent? Yes, please, Brent. Go ahead.
So, kind of two things. Going back a little while, Dr. James, first kind of comment was that people with greater cognitive ability might be more kind of detached from the kind of moral structures, and that kind of makes sense to me. I mean, obviously, somebody like Nietzsche was highly intelligent, and I think questioning kind of the structures of society might require more cognitive ability. That said, it's kind of highly dangerous as far as the society as a whole, and one of the reasons why this kind of breakdown of social.
Sorry to interrupt. Please refresh my memory. What is dangerous?
The kind of elites kind of detaching themselves or questioning the moral foundations of a society. So the biggest one would be like Nietzsche questioning the relevance of Christianity and the relevance of not just kind of achieving power. And I would say that that's dangerous because when you do that, or it causes a tremendous amount of instability. And I think we're seeing that, and the way you kind of counter that is, frankly, get more people into more of these socially norming places like church, et cetera, and that. And I think that's a kind of a dangerous tell. The other thing, going back to the science thing, that study does sound silly, but I would argue that, not necessarily who spoke about that, but on a wider level, kind of, we should be funding more studies that take risk. I think if you look at academia as a whole and federal funding, there's so much grant writing and non kind of risk averse studies, and the reason why is because people like the previous speaker will get a microphone and say, hey, look at this study, this shows how this is representative of everything, this shows what your tax money is going to, we shouldn't be funding that, when in reality so much basic research is so important in things like pharmaceuticals, things like space flight, and other just basic drivers of our advancement in humanity, where there isn't yet a profit motive. And I think when you kind of look at the scientific academy, pre-60s, 70s, and now, one of the reasons why we're not making as many, or at least I would argue one of the reasons why we're not making as many leaps forward is the demagoguery of basic research. And
you dropped out. We're hello. You dropped out. Hello.
You
dropped out. We're not making as many what?
Just basic advancements. It's because we kind of demagogue basic research because taxpayers might fund a silly study every now and again.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. 2 hours in the tank and 1 hour left. It's time for the top of the hour break again, and good morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Ask the Atheist with the Mod Squad. I have assembled the best Mod Squad in the history of Clubhouse. They have a wide variety of fields of expertise and knowledge. Everybody is encouraged to be bold, brave, courageous. Come on up and talk about whatever you want. God, religion, current events, politics, glaciers, suicide. We started off talking about it's the 100-year and 2-day anniversary of the Scopes trial. I am going to be taking what I think is a well-deserved break.
Is that it's higher standard studio. You have an oversized bathroom. You have an oversized kitchen. The living area does have a loft bed, but the next buyer could take out that loft bed and just make it
drop that crazy motherfucker in the dude is talking right now.
Yeah, so that could come out. It has a lot of storage underneath. That's why the owner.
Thank you for dropping his ass. Like, at the end of the day, the Democrats are complicit too, because these so-called people who are supposed to be lobbying for us didn't do shit to stop any of this. Like, this whole Biden thing dropping out halfway through the race. This thing with Trump running against two women, you notice he ran against Hillary, a woman. He
that up. This whole thing was put into place to tear down the financial, the whole market so that Bitcoin and all that can thrive. They're making money worthless. They're tearing the economy down on purpose. It's the great destroy and rebuild. It's the great reset. That's what the fuck is going on. They don't give a fuck about people right now. They give a fuck about profits. It's always been what it is. Like if you notice right now, when COVID-19 came out, it opened up the door for working home, working remotely. It opened up the door to roll out AI. It opened up the door to find other solutions to humans. So when you, now they're doing it again. But I'm saying this, the population now, they look at it like, we don't need you anymore. We got AI and robots to do your job, so how can we kill you motherfuckers? We're going to kill you by dropping your health care. We're going to kill you to make it where you can't afford to eat anymore. Because shit is so fucking high, and you're not making enough money to sustain. The rent is too damn high, like that old man used to say. You got AI determining...
Hold on, a couple questions. You're saying a lot. So is the market up or down since Trump took office?
The market is... Let me say this. The market is being controlled by Trump with this tariff shit, where you keep saying you're going to institute tariffs on these countries, and then you renege.
Okay.
So every time... Hold on, I'm going to tell you how it is. You asked me about the market. Let me answer it for you. You was the one who said, Trump, you're going to establish tariffs on these countries, making the markets go down every time you announce that shit, only to renege on it and make it go back up once you renege on it. Because once they see you don't do it, that's market control.
That's true.
So you are controlling the market.
That's true. Okay, but next question, is the crypto market up or down?
Crypto market is going up.
Okay. And then what has happened with inflation?
Inflation is through the roof.
No, it's gone down. It's gone down. It's gone down.
Who? Let me ask you.
I'm talking about by statistics.
I'm asking you.
Let me finish. Let me make my bigger point. Trump, let me make my bigger point, and you can respond. Okay, so Trump, I'm not saying this to like push back on you and say how great Trump is, but you're just like all over the place, right? And if you're gonna say like he's here to crash the market and all this, well, I mean, I just need to see it show up. So can you just have what your points you're making? Can you just provide your evidence for the points you're making? That's all.
I can if I don't get cut off. That's the thing. When people are talking, you cut them off. They can't control their thoughts. My whole point of what I'm saying to you with this whole manipulation thing is that you keep using statistics, and I get it. You got statistics. But I'm going off what people in real life are going through. Even in this room, let's go off the statistics of this room. Let's just talk for that. How many of you in this room, put a 1 in the chat if you think inflation is through the roof, put a 2 in the chat if you don't think it is.
Inflation is not through the roof, sir.
Okay, so you don't think $2,000 a month in a rural area for an apartment is not through the roof? You don't think unaffordable rent that's controlled by AI determining who can afford what isn't through the roof?
Those aren't.
You don't think the food prices, hold on, let me say this. You don't think the homelessness, you don't think that people going to the grocery suffering, coming home with 2 and 3 bags for $100, is it fucking inflation?
You sound like Trump. You sound like Trump. This is how Trump won. He made your emotional argument instead of using data.
No, I'm going off real life, bro. You're going off. I'm not going off of Bloomberg. I'm not going off of Bloomberg.
What he was doing. This is what Trump said he was doing.
I'm not going off. I gotta get over this motherfucker. You heard this cocksucker yelling and you telling me to stop?
Stop. Shut up. The inflation is down, okay?
Inflation is not down. If you look at your life right now, you're paying more for everything you have. Everything. But you're telling me inflation is down. How, Sway? How is inflation down?
The rate of inflation.
How is inflation down when mortgages are running through the roof?
They can tell you.
No, I can yell cocksucker because I want to, bitch. I can do what the fuck I want to do. Suck my motherfucking dick,
Nobody's yelling at you, sir. You can talk. It's okay.
All right, I did it. He can come back up if he has some level of cordiality, just a little bit. I just need a little bit.
And I wouldn't even get on the tone, brother. It's just not a good listen.
Well, he had made a few good points, and
He did
the
not.
drinking of that Kool-Aid got a Jim Crow idea at food drinking Jim Jones' Kool-Aid. They're selling you a brand of politics that, unlike anything that's happened in the history of America or the world, it's a monarchy, and they're right on that no king's day idea. They have yet to show me anywhere where make America great again. What specifically? Where specifically? When specifically are they talking about in the history when they say make America great again?
I invited Trump back up that way.
It's Civil War, post-Civil War. Is it pre-World War I, post-Vietnam? When the hell are they talking about in history? They have never been specific about that. Because I think they want to date back to a time when the African people, when the melanated people were picking cotton on a plantation for free. You must have that. What does it have to do? You must have that. Every goddamn thing to do what I'm talking about.
I mean, what is it? You're changing the
I'm going to land on Eric Prince.
Stay on gold.